All right, joining me tonight from Peoria, Illinois, and I'm glad to have him here, man. He's been on the show before with his band Super 88. Today he's flying solo, representing the band though, and that's awesome. And I want to welcome Jeff Hyde to the Church of Rock radio show. What's up, dude?
Not much, man. How you doing?
Great. We had some issues because I'm Zoom intolerant and can't figure out Zoom, and you're like, Skype is weird. I go, I know, but you did it, man. Thanks.
I figured it out. So do I call you, like, I know that you go by Derek Moody on your show, right? But yeah. I know you as Bloody.
Yes.
Do I call you Derek or do I call you Bloody? I mean,
you called me Bloody.
Okay, that's good.
Because it all started in '99, bro, when I got into broadcasting, and they're like, my landlord was the general manager of Rock 106 Radio, and I wanted to be a DJ my whole life. I introduced him, myself to him, and he's like, well, you're my tenant. I go, no, but I'm Bloody Mess. And he goes, I effing hate that guy. He goes, I don't like Bloody Mess at all. He goes, but I like you, my tenant that I know, not from your other crazy alcohol-induced stage crap. And then I found out he was the manager of the radio station. I go, dude, you've got to get me in radio. And he put me on the air, and an hour later he said, dude, you're natural, but you're not going to use the name Bloody Mess on the air. It's not happening. So
he said, that was probably a pretty smart play. I mean, that was probably a pretty good move.
Yeah, you're right. And so I took the name using Elvis Presley's last album with called Moody Blue. And I hate to admit it, but the drummer for the Bay City Rollers' name is Derek. And I put those two names together, and that's how I came up with Derek Moody.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So, Jeff, tell the band who is in the band Super 88 in 2025. Who are your band members?
Well, right now, so we are celebrating. This is our 26th year as a band, and it's the same lineup that we began with 26 years ago. Remarkably, right? Like, how does that even happen? I don't know. At this point, we're more like an institution than we are, like a gang or something. But yeah, same guys, 26 years. It's me on vocals, my friend Dave Moe, whom you know very well. You've worked with Dave. And he plays guitar, he plays rhythm and lead. He's the only guitar player, so he does it all. And then my friend Chris Anderson is on bass, and then my buddy Peter Kurse plays drums. So we've all known each other like 30 years, and it's been a really great experience playing music with these guys for this long. So
Jeff, I thought Brody was your drummer.
He is, but he would be upset if we actually called him by his name. His name is, it's okay, Bloody. His real name is Brody Mag, but he likes to be known in the band as Peter Kurse. That's just kind of like his thing. And in fact, I had a nickname in the band, and it's Fat Lizzie.
Instead of Thin Lizzie.
Fat Lizzie, yeah, yeah. So
dude, that's funny. Oh my God, Jeff. Hey dude, I remember that. I remember when Super 88 was on, because you reminded me that you guys were on like eons ago. And I remember Brody being on the radio and saying, this is the name I use. And I thought that was hilarious, and I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, no, it's cool. He won't mind.
Mr. Mog, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So I had some notes I made. You had your 25th anniversary celebration, as you said, last year. How was that, man? And where was that?
That was at the Peoria Pizza Works. We play a show every Thanksgiving, pretty much. It's an annual tradition for us. We've been doing it, I think, now about 10, 15 years. But yeah, So we had our annual Thanksgiving show, and that was our 25th year anniversary celebration. And it was a great show. We rocked out. We had a really great time. We had our friends. The Disasters play with us, and the Fantastic Plastics, whom I don't know if you know, but they're also fantastic. And then, of course, our buddies, the Burning Sensation, who are like, they're probably my favorite Peoria band right now. They're a rock and roll institution as well, and they're just amazing. So
awesome, man. I wish I was more familiar with those guys. I moved out here about 13 years ago to Oregon, so I kind of missed out on your Thanksgiving tradition that I would have definitely been partaking in.
Yeah.
I've always admired your vocals. And then when I went to do my last album, you were kind enough to do the vocal guide track for me and Jordan Longmire for Baby Please Don't Go. I want to thank you for doing that, man.
No, thanks for inviting me. It was my pleasure, buddy. I really enjoyed it. And I was glad to help. The record kicks ass. I love your new record, Dark Days on Face. It's just amazing. So
thank you, Jeff. You know,
yeah.
when we were in the studio, we were kind of kidding around for a minute about keeping some of your vocals on that track and making it a three-way collab. And then
awesome.
when I told Dave Mo that later, he said, well, that's kind of you, but I don't think he was giving it his all. He was just doing it real quick. I go, I know, would have been an insult because he would have done it a different way if you would have known it was good. So we decided we better not. Jeff might not take it good. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good call. I was kind of, I mean, I felt like I had a pretty good performance, but I was just more doing it, you know, I was more doing it as a help, not as a recorder. Yeah.
Sure. And that speaks volumes, bro, because your vocals were great on there, you know?
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
What have you been listening to recently? I know you're a super diverse guy when it comes to music because I follow you on social media. I know you like it all, but what have you been listening to recently, bro?
Well, recently I've been listening to a lot of different things. I mean, lately, like I've been kind of revisiting my loves from the '90s. Like I was a music nerd way back in the '90s, and like some friends of mine and I have been like kind of revisiting that and putting together some playlists and like challenging each other on compiling a greatest hits. Like the band Guided by Voices is something I've been listening to a lot from Dayton, Ohio. They've been around since like 1986. And they have a cajillion albums. So I've been listening to them a lot. I've also been listening to a lot of this guy. He's a rock and roll guy I think he's from Oklahoma. He also is in Chicago too, I think a lot. And his name is J.D. McPherson. Do you know this guy?
I've heard the name.
He's like kind of it's a little bit like 50s rock and roll kind of, but it's modernized. It's super modernized. And it's just, the guy writes kick-ass songs. And he put out a new record last year called Night Owls, and he describes it as goth surf. And it's great, man. I'm crazy about that record. Yeah,
very
I'm crazy
intriguing
about that. Yeah.
I love goth and I love surf music too, so that would be kind of cool. Yeah, I'll have to check into J.D. McPherson.
J.D. McPherson, yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, I know you like a lot of music, and I couldn't help but ask because being a music nerd too, I'm like, I gotta see what he's listening to.
Yeah, man, I listen to all kinds of stuff. I'll bounce around from metal to country to jazz to whatever, you know. I listen to it all.
My kind of guy, man. Absolutely, bro. Generic question, but it comes from the heart. Who are your vocal influences in a nutshell if you were to rattle off some?
If I were to rattle off some, just right off the top of my head, I mean, I think my biggest influence is Paul Rodgers.
Ooh, yeah.
I think the guy that I relate to the most, like the guy that I always, like if I could, I would want to be Paul Rodgers. He's just got this like real smoky, sultry blues voice with a lot of power, and he knows how to really dial that in. You know, he knows how to manipulate that. He's got a really big range. His stuff in Free is great, and I love Bad Company, man. He's probably the single biggest influence, and then right along with that, I mean, Rod Stewart. I freaking love Rod. Rod is amazing to me. Like he can
call,
do it.
Man.
Yeah, the Faces stuff from the early '70s is like some of my favorite stuff, and I've tried to emulate him quite a bit. And then like in a more modern sense, probably one of my very favorite vocalists is Chris Robinson from the Black Crowes.
Black Crowes, yeah.
That guy is a really big influence on me. Like I've ripped him off multiple times. I mean, I just love his voice, and I love those Crowes records so much, especially those first.
He's a very underrated singer for sure. All your vocal influences are people that I love. Longtime Rod Stewart fan. I got to interject. One of the best Rod Stewart records ever made, in my humble opinion, is the Blondes Have More Fun album. And I swear that's one of my favorite rock records of the '70s.
It's a great album, and it's one of those that like I don't think a lot of people even spin anymore, unfortunately, because it's got like a campy feel to it. Like it's a little, but I love it. I love it too.
Lyrically, musically, it's so good. It's just real raw, real rock and roll, but yet there's a lot of tender sides to Rod and his ballads and stuff too.
Yeah.
You know, ballads is not pretty good. What else? Any gigs coming up besides the gigs we're doing together, which we're going to talk about? What do you guys got in the works for Super 88?
Well, so we're really excited to do the 2 shows with you in the middle of March. We've been working real hard on that, and we're real stoked to be playing with you and doing all this with you in March. But then right after that, we're doing 2 shows here in Central Illinois. We're going to be playing Springfield and here in Peoria with some friends of ours from Detroit, whose band right now is named Time Creep, but formerly they were a band known as Awesome Color, and they are just like a very like Stooges-y, just raw rock and roll. The Awesome Color was this power trio that put out a couple great records in the mid 2000s, and then that guy's still at it, and we're playing with his new band Time Creep, so we're excited about that too.
Well, so you have 4 shows in the works, which leads us into the collaboration that we're doing together. To let people know, March the 14th, which is a Friday, Davenport, Iowa, Super 88 is going to do a set of music. We've got Camp Regret and Blaster doing a set of music. And then I'm so honored to have Super 88 and I collaborate, which is going to be unique, just 2 shows. And I've asked Jeff to please have a mic stand on stage and contribute backing vocals as, you know, as part of the band, not just as a backing vocalist, but as part of the whole thing. And you said, yeah, man. And thanks, dude. That's because there's so many backing vocals on the songs. And I know with your vocals and whoever else does it in your band, we can make this happen. I hope.
I know we can. Things are starting to really cook on our end, man. It's starting to get hot, and I'm excited. I think the guys are excited. We've really sort of settled into these songs, and in practice, you know, Bloody, in practice, like I'm singing your parts on all these songs, so I've gotten to know them really, really well. I love what you've done with some of these songs, man. These songs are great.
Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate that a lot, bro. I really do.
Yeah.
So Friday, March 14th, it's at Davenport, Iowa, at the Raccoon Motel, which is not a motel. It's a bar. It's a venue right next to Ragged Records, who is making this whole thing happen. Shout out to Bob and Lynn and John Burns from the crew at Ragged Records. Good people.
Thanks, Bob.
Yeah. And man, it's going to cook. I'm excited. The next night, we're going to head up to Chicago to the Live Wire Lounge to play on March 15th. And at midnight that night, I'm pretty sure we'll be on stage together at that time, I think. And I turned 59 years old at midnight.
Holy crap, man. That'll be awesome.
So it was secretly in my birthday weekend plans without telling anyone in advance. I'm like, I'm going to have a groovy birthday, man.
I love it. That'll be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I really want to say thanks to you and your band for all the hard work you're doing too, to learn these songs. It's a lot of work to do a couple gigs to learn a whole, 14 songs or so. And that's cool, man. I appreciate you guys doing that. And I'm excited to have a band that's so damn good. And like you said, an institution, for Christ's sake, at this point. And it's nice to be able to say, even though I'm not rehearsing with them until the night before the gig start, I know it's going to be awesome because it's Super 88.
Yeah, man. I appreciate your confidence in us. We're definitely enjoying the preparation for this one. It's a new thing for us, and so it's just kind of an exciting little thing for us to do. I'm just super stoked and honored that we get to do this with you, Bloody, because I've known you as a musician here in Central Illinois since I was just a kid. I mean, some of my first shows back in pre-airwaves days, like in 1990 and 91, I would see you. So I'm honored, man.
How much age difference is there between us? I have no idea, honestly.
Actually, I'm 52.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm the oldest. I'm the oldest guy in the band. But Brody's known you since he was a kid. I mean, you've probably known Brody since he was like 16 or something. So, and he's 50. He's 51. So, yeah.
And I gotta tell you, man, it just on the record, since people are going to be watching this from Peoria, there's not very many things that I regret in my life because I've learned from them or I haven't. But the airwave shows, man, I winced when I watched that one in particular. I was just completely negative and it's awful. And I wish I could just have it removed from the YouTubes and all that because it's just not one I'm proud of.
Hey man, it happens. You know, we all have our nights, and honestly, bloody, it just is part of your legend, man. It's just part of your legend, bro.
See me get kicked in the teeth.
Well, I mean, I remember that night. I was there. I remember
Yeah.
watching that. That was crazy.
When I watch that now, I'm thinking, why weren't you just cooler and more trying to unite people instead of like treating the same people that are black sheep like you are as if they were the bad guy? But whenever I would drink alcohol, man, it was like an anger thing, which a lot of people go through when they're alcoholics.
Yeah, but
and,
you fixed that. That's all in your past, right?
Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you.
Congratulations. So,
Thanks, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard on my birthday. My youngest daughter is gonna be there, and she's like, "Are you ever tempted to ever drink ever?" I go, I think about it almost every time I go by the bar. I want to go in and put some money in and play some Waylon Jennings on the jukebox and have a drink. But it's been 13 years, and I'm not a real good guy when I drink, so I'd rather not roll the dice.
I really respect that, bloody. I think that's awesome that you've kept that above board and that you're sticking to your guns on this one. I think that's fantastic.
Thanks, Jeff. Well, again, you're listening to an interview with Jeff Hyde from Super 88. He's a front man, a great singer. That's understatement. The band itself is awesome. I'm really looking forward to these gigs. March 14th in Davenport, Raccoon Motel. March 15th at the Live Wire Lounge in Chicago. It's going to be pretty cool, and we're going to have it on videotape. So those of you that, for whatever reason, can't make it, we'll be sharing it on the YouTubes, hopefully, if I don't completely suck.
Hey man, I really appreciate you having me on. It's great, and we're really looking forward to these set of shows with you. That I'm just super stoked. I do want to give a shout out to my good friend in Oregon, who I know will be listening to your show, Sam D'Antone. I wanted to give a shout out to him. Hey Sammy.
Sam, so awesome, isn't he?
That's such an awesome guy. And if you guys out there in Radio Land haven't looked at his art, you should check out Sam D'Antone's art. It's incredible stuff. So,
and then you should hire him to do art for your project.
Yes, we should. And since I've known him for a while, hopefully he won't charge us.
I was meaning that in general to the audience.
Yeah, right. right.
Sam D'Antone, I know he's on Instagram, so look him up, guys, if you need a really good artist. Jeff, man, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for making the time and for being patient with the Skype thing, man.
Yeah, man, thank you so much for having me, and I'll see you in March, bloody.
Thank you, man. It's Super 88 right now. Turn it up a little bit louder because you're going to see what we've been talking about. This is some tune right now from Super 88. I'll tell you what tune it is afterwards because this is being pre-recorded and I haven't picked out said tune yet, but I will. For the Almighty Church of Rock and KSKQ. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.